I'm Little Poet, and I want to welcome you to episode 1 of Black Therapy History. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the first Black psychologist. Francis Cecil Sumner is referred to as the father of Black psychology. He was born December 7th, 1895, and died January 11th, 1954. When Sumner was younger, he attended schools at Norfolk, Virginia, and Plainfield, New Jersey, but he did not have a high school diploma. So he was required to take an exam to see if he was suitable to be admitted into Lincoln College, which we all now know as Lincoln University in Chester County, Pennsylvania. This was the first institute dedicated to and primary for African Americans in the United States. In 1911, Sumner passed the test and at age 15 was admitted into college. While attending Lincoln College, which is now known as Lincoln University, Sumner graduated as valedictorian, magna cum laude, in philosophy with special honors in English, modern languages, and Greek, studying also Latin and philosophy in 1915. Sumner went on to Clark University in 1916, where he started to work closely with G. Stanley Hall, and in the fall, he received his second bachelor's degree in English. Sumner then developed a mentor-mentee relationship with the president of Clark, G. Stanley Hall. Hall and Sumner's relationship became one of mutual respect as Hall continued to provide encouragement to Sumner and many other African American students. Sumner graduated from Clark University in 1916 with a BA degree in English. Sumner also developed a relationship with James P. Porter, who was the dean of Clark University and professor of psychology. In 1917, Sumner returned to Clark University, where he was awarded a senior scholarship. Hall approved his application for a PhD in psychology, but unfortunately, Sumner's education was postponed in 1918 due to him being drafted in the United States military. And Sumner was also sent to the battlefield in Germany, and in his time there, he kept in contact with his mentor, G. Stanley Hall. Sumner asked to be reconsidered as a candidate upon his return, and remained in France until he was discharged in the middle of 1919. After his doctoral dissertation entitled Psychoanalysis of Freud and Adler was accepted, he received his doctorate degree from Clark University on June 14, 1920, making him the first African American to receive a PhD in psychology. His area of focus was investigating how to refute racism and bias in the theories used to conclude the inferiority of African Americans. Sumner's work is thought to be a response to Eurocentric methods of psychology. In 1920, Sumner accepted a professor position at Wilberforce University, and he was a professor of psychology and philosophy. In 1921, he went to teach at Southern University in Louisiana, which is actually at HBCU. In the fall of 1921, he accepted a position at West Virginia Collegiate Institute, where he wrote many articles dealing with the state of colleges and acceptance of African Americans, or the lack thereof, and used these articles to support and raise awareness for the views brought up by Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois. He remained there for the next 7 years, but over time, he failed to receive funding for his research. He claimed that race prejudice was the cause of his inability to attain his and other African American scientists' funding. This was because white research agencies refused to provide funding for him and other African American scientists. From 1928 until his death in 1954, Sumner served as the chair of the psychology department at Howard University, which is another HBCU. He is credited, along with Max Minnis and Frederick P. Watts, with helping develop the psychology department at Howard University. He was also known for teaching social psychologist Kenneth B. Clark, an influential figure in the civil rights movement. He was also a member of many associations. Those associations are the American Psychological Association, American Association for the Advancement of Science, American Educational Research Association, Eastern Psychological Association, Southern Society for Philosophy and Psychology, and the District of Columbia Psychological Association. His scientific record was outstanding, but it was through his efforts to build and promote better education for African Americans that he made the most significant impact. Sumner advocated for more funding for African American schools and teachers, and he taught at Howard University for over 30 years. Sumner mentioned that the Negro race cannot be denied, that it has produced individuals whose cultural status plainly warrants a higher education. He concluded that for those very few black youths ready for a liberalized education, it'd be best to work out in institutions, preferably for Negroes, in the so-called Negro colleges or universities, which we now know as HBCUs. Sumner's views on Negro education drew attention and criticism from individuals and organizations like the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, who were concerned that Sumner was advocating for perpetuating segregated education systems. This is the man who is known as the father of psychology. Without him, we would not be able to do what we love to do, and that's helping people. Hi, I'm William J., and that was the first episode of Black Therapy History. Thank you for watching.